All right, everybody. Jason Sloan here with Total Law Solutions, and I have Rodney with Zero Stress Business Funding. How are you doing today, Rodney?
Doing good, thanks, Jason.
I'm glad you reached out to me the other day. After we talked, you have some great programs. I mean, I've dealt with some loan situations in my own businesses, and you've got a lot more going for you than most of the people that I've worked with in the past. So
Appreciate that.
uh, yeah, if you guys didn't, obviously I wouldn't. I vet everybody before they come on the show. So, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and in business and personal?
Okay, well, I'm uh, kind of have a very varied background. People used to say I was the jack of all trades, master of not many of them. Started out in contracting as a roofing contractor when I was in my 20s and did that until into my early 30s. Got a divorce, kind of changed my career path. Took a completely different path and became a chef. Worked in resorts all over the country, from Alaska to Florida. I was in one place in the winter and another place in the summer, kind of gallivanting all over the country. Then, of course, COVID changed the restaurant and resort industry dramatically a couple of years ago. Plus, I got married, and so my career path changed again through a very random series of events. I ended up starting to work in a loan business for a company that just offered one product only. But I like to work with contractors. That's kind of where I got my start. And so having that niche, you can't just sell them one product, because they contractors have all kinds of situations that come up and different things that cross their path. So they're, when they ask me, I need equipment, you can do equipment financing, I'd go out and find an equipment lender. And when they'd ask me, hey, I can't get the bank to do this mortgage on my house because I'm self-employed, so I went and found somebody that could get that done. And so what that's turned into is now I have a great partner, business partner, ton of lending options. He's had his relationships with lenders that he's had for many, many years. And so we can meet with you, and that enables us to pretty much be able to offer whatever, any kind of business funding scenario. We can usually find a solution to it. So,
Okay, awesome. So, where'd you grow up, and where are you at these days?
now these days I'm in Oceanside, California, which is in San Diego County. Grew up in the state of Oregon mostly, although I finished out my teenage years up in Alaska, on an island called Prince of Wales Island, in a town called Craig, and fishing, kind of a fishing island, fishing and logging. Um, but as I mentioned, since then I've lived all over the country. Uh, so I don't. I've kind of lost my identity. I'm not sure where I'm from anymore.
Well, you don't have any crazy accents, so. But these days, people move around a lot more than back when we were kids. So
uh-huh.
you get all kinds of accents all over the country that you're like, where are you from?
I find that some people pick up accents very easily, and other
Mhm.
people don't. For some reason, it's just depends on the type of person you are, your personality. But yeah, some people, like, I have a sister, never been in the South in her life, moved to Texas. 1 year later, is a full Southern accent. But
Yeah,
I moved to Texas and lived down there for 2 or 3 years and had zero accent. So it just depends.
I have that. When I'm in an area, south or Mexico or whatever, I I start talking with an accent as well.
Interesting.
Down here I speak a lot of Spanglish, but
Yep. I
but yeah.
used to live in the Dominican Republic for a couple of years. I had the same thing going on. So,
Okay. So what do you do when you're not working?
well, take care of my son. I have an 18-month and a year-old son now. And so basically we're kind of homebodies, but we like to go to the beach. We're fortunate to live near a pretty nice beach area. Um, we love to go to the movies now that we can start going to the movies again. We're happy about that. Uh, uh, Other than that, I like to read a lot. I love fishing, so I like to fly fish, and I've done a ton of that in my lifestyle, my lifetime. I mean, used to like to hunt, but now that's kind of just don't have time for it anymore. Would like to be able to do it again someday, but we like the outdoors. We love camping, fishing, hiking, all that stuff. And that's kind of pretty much it.
All right. Nice. Nice. All right. Well, let's get into the different programs you guys have
Sure.
available for the contractors, and then we can get into some other questions.
Okay. Well, what we do is consult with you because every business owner or contractor is in a different situation. So if you've only been in business for a few months, your options are going to be very different than a company that's been in business for 10 years. So revenue and credit and all those things kind of determine what we can pursue on your behalf. So if you're a new business, we need you to have been in business. Sometimes we can get you some options if you have 4 months in business with a business account, and you can provide 4 months of bank statements. But you need to keep in mind that those options are probably going to be alternative lending, higher interest. Usually you're going to be making a weekly payment. That's for working capital type loans. For equipment, it's kind of like buying a car. So even if you don't have a lot of time in business, if your credit's good, you can still get a decent rate. But rates can be as low as 5.9%. So if you need to buy equipment for the business, which can include vehicles like vans or trucks, cannot include passenger cars, unfortunately, but vans or trucks we can get done. Sometimes certain SUVs, but for the most part, utility vans and trucks we can get financed for you. Even if you've purchased it yourself, like some contractors will in a hurry buy something on a credit card, we can refinance that, get them a better rate, get it off their credit card. So that's, even if you've already purchased it, a lot of times if it's 6 months or less, we can refinance it for you and get you, a lower payment. So that can come in handy as well. But the nice thing that contractors like to use this for on the equipment side is you can go out with a pre-approval. So when you go to a dealer or private parties, you already know you have financing in hand. It could help you negotiate, help you, get their price down if you want to, because they know you're a qualified buyer. They know that you can, buy the piece of equipment, with push button speed. So you can go out on the market and not be wondering or be subject to, accepting only their financing offers. So
kind of like nowadays realtors, it's not like let's look for a house and then get you financed. It's like we need to have you pre-qualified before we look at anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Nowadays, especially in the housing market, everything is getting sold so quickly, like almost never before in history. It's crazy right now. So if you're not shopping with a pre-approval, so that when you make an offer, you need to be able to put that, pre-approval in. It's unlikely you're going to get that house. So we can help out on that area as well. We have a lender that works with contractors. This particular lender, you need to have a little more time in business and a little bit more of a track record, but he can get personal homes financed, commercial properties financed. If you do fix and flips, he can get those. He's issued some of our clients anywhere from a 2.5 million up to a $20 million line of credit just for acquiring distressed properties, rehabbing them and reselling them. And he has the bandwidth for you to do as many of those as you can handle. So that's always an option. If you're interested in real estate investing of any kind, we have good lenders for that. So yeah, like kind of mentioned before, we have so many options because we work with so many lenders that you come to the table, you tell us what you're trying to do. And even if we can't help you for some reason, we're going to try to point you in the right direction and help you get the help that you need to either get it done now, or sometimes now just doesn't work because somebody perhaps just doesn't qualify for anything at the moment. But hopefully we can give you some steps to take to put you on the path to, be able to qualify for whatever you're trying to do in the future. So.
Okay. And then, so you talked about home loans. I see on your list, you also have home equity lines of credit. Most everybody knows what that is, but for those who don't,
Yeah, so if you have a property, it doesn't have to be your home, any real estate that you have equity in, if there's enough, we can sometimes access that for you. Like, for example, a guy came to me not too long ago looking for a working capital loan, but his credit was pretty rough and his business wasn't quite bringing in enough revenue per month for us to approve him at that time. And then after the fact, he said, well, wait, my wife and I own our house free and clear. And so we were able to get him $100,000 to use for his business because he owned his house free and clear. So if you have equity in your home or another property, and there's enough equity there, we can a lot of times access that equity for you, and you can use that to help get your, as working capital for the business or whatever you need the funding for. So,
Okay. Next one is invoice factoring.
So invoice factoring is if you have a business where you're not getting paid on your invoices right away, but the money is definitely coming in. Sometimes this can work with contracting businesses. Sometimes it can't. It's kind of a case-by-case basis. But we may be able to get you paid on those invoices in advance so that you're not trying to come out of pocket to handle those jobs or whatever the case is. Out of pocket, stretching your budget of the business so the cash flow thin. So that helps your cash flow. If cash flow is going and you're getting paid on those invoices right away instead of waiting, it might be a net 30 or a net 60 or sometimes a net 90. If you're not waiting all that time to get paid, you can usually complete more jobs per month because you're not restricted, by your own cash flow. So that's definitely an option. You can always reach out to us about invoice factoring. And it is cheaper than getting like a working capital loan. So the interest that you're paying on that money is much less than if you're taking out a loan. So
sounds good. Yeah. What do you know the rates offhand, ballpark? Just because I've seen them like from 1.5% up to like 15, and it's like, yeah.
It's kind of case by case basis because they do that on a risk assessment as well. So newer businesses and where your personal credit is a little bit challenged, you're not going to get those low rates. So it can range anywhere from 3 or 4% up to like 15%. So that's kind of the range that you're working with.
Okay. All right. Cool. Great. Any other programs you'd like to discuss that you guys have?
There is one if you're that a lot of contractors use with us for alternative lending. Sometimes because conventional lending takes a long time. So if you're going to get a conventional loan, you're going to get lower rates, but you're subject to conventional institutions underwriting, which can be really rough. So typically we can pursue that for you if there's no immediate need for funding, like tomorrow. Typically, just to kind of give you an example, you're usually looking at a minimum of 30 days to get through the underwriting process on any conventional product, whether it's a credit line or a loan. Any conventional loan will have to be secured by something, whether it's a personal guarantee or property, or sometimes we can use other things that have value. But somehow that loan has to be secured. And minimum fastest case scenario is 30 days to get through underwriting. And we can't say for sure even then that we'll get an approval, but it can go out to 60 days and in some cases 90 days. So those are the cheapest. That's definitely the most affordable route to go, but it doesn't always work because you may be in situations where, especially with contractors and a lot of other business situations that come up, you need to be able to get that funding kind of at push button speed, so relatively quickly. So we have, of course, the alternative lending, which is merchant cash advance or term loans or other loans that are based on your accounts receivable. So that's when we just need 6 months bank statements and an application initially. And then, there is a program that we have that is different. Oh, great. Hold on a second while I shut the window because I think the landscapers are here. Oh, it's shut. So I apologize for that, everyone.
Oh, no
landscapers in the house. Anyway, so most of those lenders, they kind of try to suck you in by saying, hey, we know the rate is high, but we'll give you a better rate once you make your payments on time for 6 months or whatever the case is, and we'll refinance your loan then, give you a better rate in a longer term. What they try to breeze over is that when they do that, they finance everything that you still owe on that first loan into the new loan. So now you're paying interest on your own interest, money that you never got to use. It was just money that was charged you. So now you're being double charged. So we do have lenders that do that, but we would never put you with one of them without you knowing in advance that that's the situation, because sometimes you don't qualify for what I'm about to tell you about. But or it's just going to be a one and done anyway, so it doesn't matter if you're just taking the one loan, paying it off, and then we can usually get you a prepay. So if you know you only need the money for so long and you can pay it off in 90 days or less, even if it's a 1 or 2 year term loan, so you got the lowest rate, the lowest payment that you could get, but you're going to pay it off after 90 days because some job is going to pay out or something, we can usually save you at least 25% of that interest. It's always a flat rate on those kind of loans. It's not an APR. But if you would like a product where you can get more money and never be double dipped and never charged interest on top of interest, we have a great product that a lot of contractors use, almost like a line of credit. So for example, they might take out $100,000 in their initial loan, and then 50%, once they're 50% paid in, whatever the term of that loan was, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, a year, at halfway in, they can get more money, up to half whatever they were originally approved for. So in the example of $100,000, that means say they got it on a 6-month term, that means every 3 months they can get another $50,000, but they're never paying on that second installment of money until the first installment of money is paid off. So you're never getting double dipped on the interest. You're always making just one payment, and the rates can be really lower than most working capital loans, because the shorter the term on those types of loans, the less the rate they charge. But because you have more money coming in every few months, you're not as stressed about making your payment on that original amount on the one, because you got a cash infusion coming in. So a lot of contractors will use that almost like a line of credit. They know that some of them will take out a 3-month loan. Every 6 weeks they're getting $20 or $30 or $40,000 or more, depending on how much that first loan was, put right infused into their account. So it can come in very handy. You're never getting double dipped on the interest, and in those second installments you usually get your rates lowered as well. So something to keep in mind. Another product that was on that list was credit lines. Credit lines are a little bit trickier to get, just because the lender has to set aside all of the amount that you're borrowing, and they can only charge the money on what you use. So they tend to be a little more stingier with credit lines. We have alternative credit line lenders, and we have conventional credit line lenders. So on the alternative side, once again, kind of like those other alternative loans, we just need 6 months bank statements and an application usually to see what we can get for you. Even if the initial amount that they offer is low, the nice thing about those is every 2 months you can get depending on your revenue and how everything goes, you can get your amount increased quite a bit. So you can potentially get that credit line, even if it starts out low, raised to pretty high pretty quickly as you use it. And those go up to $250,000. Conventional will go up to $1 million. So just something to keep in mind. We are always happy to try to get those for you as well.
Okay, great. All right. So let's see. How does your business contribute to the industry, and what's the end goal?
Well, the end goal is that our goal is to help you grow your business. So obviously, if you're content with where you're at, and it may not always be wise to take out, to take loans out, or use any kind of, keep your credit usage to a minimum. But one thing that we are finding that most is happening with most of our clients is that many of them are growing faster than they can keep up with. So we want to help your business be successful by cash flow not being a problem. So we can give you access to capital so that you're not coming out of pocket for everything. So in the case of contractors, especially in insurance restoration, industry damage restoration, and roofing and things like that, where you're turning over jobs pretty quickly, and you may have a lot of jobs going at once, or you may be able to accept a lot more work, but sometimes you're restricted by your cash flow. You can't take on new jobs because you're coming out of pocket for everything to float the jobs that you've got going until they pay out. So that's an area where we can help your business grow faster and scale. And as your business grows, your access to capital with us can grow with you. So we may start out, depending on where you're at, you might be starting out with a 1 or 2 or 3 person business, but irregardless whether your business is small or large, we can help you to scale, as to whatever size you're trying to get to in a much faster than trying to do it out of your own pocket. So that's kind of one of our main goals, is just to be in your back pocket. There are many things that probably be better to use your bank for in some cases, but a lot of times the banks, they can't operate, with push button speed, and many of them are afraid of the self-employed. So we want to be there for the business owners in the world, that the banks are not always so friendly, easy to work with. Sometimes they can be tough. So.
All right. So if you guys want to get a hold of Rodney, you can call him or text him at 442-222-9429, or you can go to zerostressfunding.com and you can click on the link Get Funded and fill out the information right there. He's got informative videos. He's putting up videos all the time. Do you have a Facebook page also, Rodney?
Yes, I do. Let me remind myself of what the link to that is. Give me a second here. My Facebook page is Zero Stress Business Funding. So just go to, facebook.com/Zero Stress Funding. Sorry, not Zero Stress Business Funding. And you'll go to our Facebook page. So.
Okay, great. And I know you're putting out a lot of good content on there that I've seen. So
yep, we try to keep the content flowing as good as much as possible. Another thing to keep in mind is just that I don't know about everyone out there, but a lot of times things that have kept me from moving forward or taking advantage of something that could help me or my business is just my own mind. Sometimes my own mind puts up roadblocks, and you make things bigger in your mind than they really are. And then when I finally do take action to take care of something, I end up yelling at myself because why didn't I do that a long time ago? It was so easy. A 5-minute call took care of it. And so we want to be as approachable as possible here at Zero Stress Business Funding. Never hesitate to call, reach out. We're happy to consult with you, even if you're not looking for something right now. You're just thinking about the future. We're happy to give you advice, point you in the right direction. We're not going to try to pressure you into taking some particular product or any loan for that matter. We're going to listen to you, hear what your situation is, and try to point you in the right direction, and then just be there either now or in the future when you are ready to use something. We might be able to help you in some way. So
nice. Well, as always, if anybody needs an estimate or supplement, you can reach out to me by call or text at 720-296-6618, or you can email me at jason@furtadolaw.solutions. So I'd like to thank you for all the great information, Rodney, and I'm sure some people are going to be reaching out to you. I know that you're connected to a ton of roofers, as I see
yep.
your page. So, if you need anything, call Rodney for any of your loan questions, because as he said, he's here to help. Sometimes he can't help. Sometimes it's pointing you in the right direction so you can get that help. So.
Thanks a lot, Jason.